April Fools.
April Fools, bozos.
Yeah, everything bad that happened to you today before listening to this was all one big joke. Also the good stuff.
Yeah, the good stuff too.
It was all April Fools to you. Hey, you who just got engaged to the love of your life.
Jokes on you.
April Fools.
Sucks to suck.
Hey, you who just lost the love of their life. April Fools.
You know how the doctor called you at 6:30 in the morning and give you good news? He's in on the joke too.
April Fools, get ready for the next call. It's not going to be so fun. Well, this is the April Fool's episode of LA Meekly.
Don't believe a single thing we say today.
Nothing is true today. Today, up means down. Today, right means left. April Fools. Oh, God.
They don't know where we're going to go next.
They don't
we're
know
unpredictable.
We are going to go there today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but by going there, we're actually not going there, April Fools. Also, unfunny is funny today. So everything we've said so far, April Fools.
Guess what? Hysterical.
Guess what? Any other day you listen to it, though, I would turn it off.
It's kind of unlistenable. There's kind of a quality where it hurts to listen to.
But hurting's good. April 2nd, hurting is good. So this is the Los Angeles History Podcast of America.
He did that to me.
Phantom is here. Phantom the cat is here.
Yeah.
He forgot Greg was still here.
Yeah,
he just ate his dinner.
Mm-hmm. His eyes are extra glowy now.
Yeah. We fed him extra plutonium for the recording. When this cat hits 88 purrs per second. April Fools.
He's gonna be
He's a dog.
He's gonna be going back to a couple lives.
Yeah, he's gonna
going back to his third life.
So this is Daniel Zaffron, the Fool.
This is Greg Gonzalez, straight man.
Straight man to the Fool. The Abbott to my Costello. The Goebbels to my Gobbles. You haven't heard of that group. It's not what you think.
Nazi Thanksgiving. Goebbels.
So in this show, we talk about the history of Los Angeles. But before we get into the history of Los Angeles and a little something before that, we have to welcome in a new patron this month.
New
patron.
What's their name?
What's their social security address?
Show me their papers.
Make sure that they're alive before we start sending them postcards, okay? Because that's a problem, apparently.
Yeah. Okay? We have a number to call if they don't have that stuff.
Yeah, we have a number. It's 1-800-TESLA, okay? And we're going to doge
you. And a lot of A's because it's only like 5. It's like 3 A's.
It's 4 A's.
Yeah.
Because that's how many A's I would give their wonderful cars. So our new patron this month is Ralph Castaneda.
Hi, Ralph. How's it going?
First Ralph.
Yeah, we never had a Ralph before.
And to be honest, maybe the first Ralph I've ever known.
Wow, really?
Have you known a Ralph? King Ralph, I guess.
King Ralph. Yeah, I've known.
Oh, wait, Ralph Malph. I forgot about him. Oh, and Ralph, Wreck-It.
Oh, you don't know Ralph Macchiato?
Ralph
Oh my God, Macchiato?
No, I've ordered his drink, but I've never met the man himself.
Macho.
Ralph Macchiato.
Yeah, I've known Ralph before.
Yeah, I've never. This is exciting for me to know a Ralph, though.
Tell him. You know what to write in the postcard now.
I do.
To Ralph, my first Ralph.
It's a Dear Ralph. No. I've never gotten to write a Dear Ralph before. So, yeah, welcome. I almost said Ralph. Ralph, come in.
Yeah.
Ralph. So you too can join our Patreon. Hey, there's a lot of names I've never had correspondence with before. Prudence. Bella. No, that's my grandma's name. I don't know. I was trying to think of names that I'd never met before. And my brain went to, who are people I know?
That you just pulled a Richard T. Splett. Richard T. Splett. I don't know why I said that. My middle name's Stephen.
Yeah, what's a name I've never met before? I don't know. Greg.
It could be anything.
Let's get a Greg.
Yeah.
Let's get the goal for April, 6 more Gregs on our Patreon.
Let's mostly get Gregs.
If you're a Greg who's listening, you've got to sign up.
Let's see if we can get a Greg Gonzalez. There's a lot of them out there.
We've had a Daniel Gonzalez. We've had maybe Greg Daniels.
Yeah,
the
we had
creator
Greg
of The
Daniels.
Office, or the American Office.
He thought we was there. He thought that he was subscribing to the Alley Weekly's postcard program.
Yeah. But guess what? Once you're subscribed to us, you're in for life.
You're in for life, buddy.
And we have your scrotials
daughter.
Or whatever.
We have your daughter. Give us $4 million.
Give us $5 a month.
Yeah,
and we'll give you 5 pieces of your daughter back a month.
Five of our least favorite pieces of your daughter back.
So, but they might be your favorite. So you too can join our Patreon, patreon.com. God, I always want to say Patreon got milk.
You can fail CAPTCHA so easily.
You know what? I
.com.
do. They've made it harder to do CAPTCHAs to just look on like Reddit or something. And I've gotten like, give it one more try.
Yeah.
Like if you get it wrong one more time, you're going to have to work for Google.
Yeah. And then the warnings are all binary numbers.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, I know what that means. Oh no.
My native language. So patreon.com/LA Meekly. For as little as $5 a month, we will send you one of those aforementioned handwritten postcards. We could send you a Dear Ralph every month from a different place around LA. And just for joining, you get an official LA Meekly sticker. So patreon.com/LA Meekly. We need you. It helps support the show. It helps keep it going. But now, before we talk about April, CAPTCHA. Wait a minute. Let me just select all these fire hydrants. Real quick. Okay, I'm in.
Let me just figure out if the very corner of this bridge counts as an image of a bridge.
I know. Does the handlebar of a motorcycle
count
part
as
of the motorcycle, or is that a handlebar?
Well,
CAPTCHA?
I mean, it can go anywhere without the handle. What's the image is like, 97% sky.
But when I think about, not me, when Greg fantasizes about owning a motorcycle, he's usually talking about the handlebars.
He's just having, I call it a hello darkness, my old friend moment, where he's just staring like this. Phantom is sitting on the very edge of the corner.
Not me. As I was saying that, I didn't have a blank stare on my face. So now before we get into April, let's talk about something we did in the month of March.
Okay. It's time to talk about March.
You woke Phantom up.
Yeah, I broke his concentration. I went with my good friend and his wife, went to...
Who are they? They sound hot. Are they swingers?
Me and my wife saw you from across the bar and you look really sad. We're not going to buy you anything. We just want you to know that whatever's happening to you, you deserve it. You and your lovely wife took me out to celebrate
new
employment. So we went to Carney's, which we've been to before.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. So
yes, the Carney's thing.
I just remembered what happened while we were at Carney's because we went to the Carney's on Sunset Boulevard because it was going to be like a 2-part thing we were planning to do. And, the first part was picking you up at Carney's, pretending we don't know you, picking you up at Carney's, taking you back to the Chateau Marmont.
And then whenever we're at Carney's, you play the bit where you pretend to be a conductor and you keep asking me for my ticket. Yeah. And then you're like, sir, you get to present a ticket if you want to be on the plane.
Or if you don't, you're going to have to come back to the captain's quarters because there is a captain on this train. Because I don't know how a train works.
I actually don't know how a train works. Yeah. He's got a captain's hat.
But we sat outside. Because I had been exercising that day. So I was like really hot, like in a lot of senses. So it was hot. I wanted to sit outside. And all of these tour buses kept passing by and we kept joking of like, yes, it's us.
Don't worry, guys. Please, we're only 2 guys just trying to have a good time out.
Sure. We are the most popular podcast behind several others about Los Angeles history. And we kept joking because like people were taking pictures as they drove by. And then one drove by and we heard on their speaker say podcaster. And we don't know what they were talking about.
No, we don't know. I was looking at the billboards around. I was like, is there a Joe Rogan poster? Does Theo Vaughn have a billboard on Sunset Strip?
Yeah, we had I don't know what they could have been talking about if not us.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, hey... And that's Hollywood tour buses.
That's where you're going. They say you want to see celebrities on these Hollywood bus tours. Tell it to that bus, okay?
You say you want a revolution?
But then the second part was...
We went to Chateau Marmont, which I was trying to give us like, let's eat cheap, but then drink expensive. And I thought we were going to do it at night. And then you're like, 2 p.m. I'm like, what? But then I'm glad we did it at during the day. We went to Chateau Marmont, which it was like the day before the Oscars.
Yeah, it was. They were constructing what we learned was going to be the Beyonce and Jay-Z freak off.
Yeah.
was about to happen.
The Eyes Wide Shut party they were throwing. So we were denied access to the bar, but when we walked around a little bit, we went to John Belushi's bungalow.
Death Bungalow.
But
this is what we realized.
His mausoleum, yeah.
This is what we later realized was funny, was that because we had recorded the last episode like the week before where you talked about trying to go to Dan Tana's and not being allowed in. And then the next weekend you try going to the Chateau Marmont and they don't let you in.
I didn't make that connection. And they're literally like down the street from each other.
You're not very welcome on the Sunset Strip.
No, I'm like a young John Belushi. I'm like a cokeless John Belushi.
Well, I tried to shove you into that bungalow. This is where you belong.
So I made me wear that Bumblebee outfit.
It was really funny when I hit you with that samurai sword, wasn't it?
But then we went to Formosa, which I've been to before, but
We had not been.
you had not been. So,
Yeah.
and I had a really good time.
That was fun.
Yeah, I could have had like 2 more martinis,
I
but
know
it's
you
okay.
could have.
Yeah, I could have really.
We were all talking about it. Us and the other swingers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was considering getting this plate of Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, you would talked about it a lot.
I talked about it, but it was like $15 for what I know was going to be 4 Brussels sprouts.
It was $10. It was 4
Canadian.
Brussels sprouts. But yeah, you wouldn't let it go. And then you were sitting next to the garnishes. You kept bringing it up. And then you're like, should I get ice water? Give me an ice water. Give me ice water. And it's like taking a child somewhere. Who's like, I definitely want to sit in the high chair. And you sit in the high chair like, can you believe in the booming in the high chair? Guys, check out the high chair.
The garnish, like there was literally slices of pineapple like on my elbow. So for anybody who went there later that day, if you got that signature podcaster elbow taste in your pineapple,
you know where it came from.
What are they going to care? Like, just give me a pineapple.
Yeah,
or
just
two.
give me a freaking pineapple. It was really funny because it wasn't packed, but you still insisted on sitting. Like I could have moved out. I sat with room to my left, and I could have had more. And you're like, no, I'll stand by the garnishes. And then you just like, I can't believe they put it next to the garnishes. Guys, can you believe this?
You would have had to sit next to too close to some weirdo.
That's fine.
Oh no,
I'm a weirdo to that person.
I didn't want them to be uncomfortable.
I don't want to. I'm responsible for you.
I didn't want to cause a scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Formosa was really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'd go eat there again, but like I kind of feel like I got the experience, even though I didn't eat or drink anything. I kind of just wanted. I just wanted to be there, and I was.
I didn't.
Thank you.
I just realized we went from train to train.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
That is funny.
Yeah,
we could have gone. Oh, and then we burned down the Pacific Dining car
because it was closed, so we burned it down.
They wouldn't let Greg in again.
Fireproof fries all. That's what we learned on our little trip.
Well, you want to hear what I did?
Yes.
So what we did was also food related. Well, food and more. Food and the beyond is what I'll call this segment.
This means Brussels sprouts, which he doesn't consider to be food.
It's the beyond.
Yeah, that's the beyond part.
It's beyond Brussels sprouts. It's not real plant. It's plant-based.
Food and beyond. Yeah, exactly. It's plant-based.
We went to another LA institution that we had never been to before, which was Papa Cristo's.
Oh, that's right. You told me you went to Papa Cristo's.
Papa Cristo. We never.
Where do I park? It's scary down here. Papa Cristo's.
Papa Cristo, please help me, Papa Cristo.
None of the streets down here have any parking, and none of the lights work. Papa Cristo's.
Papa Cristo, you smashed your plates on the sidewalk. Why?
Papa Cristo's, is there a live goat walking through the commissary?
An LA institution that I don't know. We haven't talked about it before on the show, but I didn't realize it was an order at the counter sort of place and like an attached market, which I love. That's my ideal day out is ordering at a counter.
Imagine I lived in New York, order at a counter.
And it's like really small, and there are goats everywhere.
Yeah, the goats are there to scare the rats away.
But then we've got a problem with the Komodo dragons that are going after the goats. But the food was it's kind of expensive, but they give you a lot of food, and it's good food,
and it's very, very good.
It was really good food, and the market's really cool. And then there was a guy playing, like Zorba the Greek kind of music.
Oh, right.
But again, we sat outside again because it was like right after church or something. So like everybody was there. What happens on Sundays? Like 1:00.
What do they do?
What do they do in there?
They won't let me in.
But
I tried to go. No, but they won't let me in.
The guy was playing like Greek music, and then he switched to playing like Miserlou as if it was in Greece. So it was like
that is my ideal day out.
It was, but here's the kicker, Greg.
Yes.
So when we walked in, I told you this, but we walked in and there was this old man sitting in the corner, and I was like, look,
like that.
He
was a grandpa from Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. He had like a face of leather, but he was drinking some woman's bloody finger,
doing a little dance with his arms.
He tried to hook me up with his granddaughter, who was still 80 years old. But I jokingly said when we walked in, like, "Oh, there's Papa Cristo," and then later we're standing by, and this guy in Spanish, which was confusing, was asking him like, "Who are you?" And he was like, "Yo soy Papa Cristo."
Oh my God.
And it was Papa Cristo, which I guess he's not the original. He's the son of the original guy, still there.
I love those movies. Son of Papa Cristo. Papa Cristo Strikes Again. The Bride of Papa Cristo.
The Curse of Papa Cristo. in the Curse of Papa Cristo, you can tell it's just a guy in a Papa Cristo suit, though.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the reboots. I love the originals. Go ahead. Sorry.
With sexy Papa Cristo, young Papa Cristo. But yeah, he waved at Melissa, and I like gave him a nod on the way. Like he's small. Have you seen Papa Cristo?
No, is it like Pinocchio sized?
Yeah. Like he's not the same country, but I get what you're going for. That's Ralph Macchiato's territory. But he's really small, and he was still like, he was mostly just sitting there, but he like went behind the counter to do something. Like he's active.
Wow.
And yeah, LA legend, that guy.
Wow.
It was pretty cool. It was a fun, but then afterwards, speaking of old man, Angeles Rosedale Cemetery was like just a couple blocks away. So we're like, let's go see, like, because we had just talked about Caroline Severance, and we were like, well, Caroline Severance's grave is in there, and so is Anna Mae Wong and like a few other people. So we drove through there, which we could not find. Like, we were looking at a map, we could not find it.
It's so dense.
It's dense, and like, I mean, graveyards are hard to find anything, but I feel like this one especially. But even just walking around, it was like, that's the Banning tomb. Like, like every name from LA history, you're going to drive by on a giant pyramid, and it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's very crazy.
But so that's your ideal date if you want. Go to Papa Cristo's and then go to the cemetery.
Yeah, it's one of those, Forest Lawn and some of the bigger ones really make you feel like you're out of the city. That one's like, I'm in the middle of the city.
And it's old.
It's old. It's really old.
Like, these graves are like died in the Civil War, like old graves, like born in 1989, like old people. I wouldn't know. I
can't even calculate that.
I was born after 9/11.
I don't even remember the towers. What are they?
Towers, what, the Lord of the Rings? Because I was born in between the Fellowship and the Return of the King. I was born somewhere between Saruman and wait, what are the names of the towers? I know who lives in them. Barad-dûr. Anyway, so that's what we did in the month of March. So now it is our April episode. And as is becoming something of a tradition, it's time to do another junk drawer episode.
Oh, we should do drunk drawer episodes where I get drunk and pass out.
I saw that at the Formosa.
I got buzzed at best. I was trying to get drunk.
We didn't tell you why you weren't allowed into the Chateau Marmont. There's a picture of you behind the bar.
Yeah. And it says, Happy New Year's 1921. And I'm standing at the center and stretched out. I've always been at the Chateau Marmont.
There's a guy in a dog suit next to you. And it's Jack Nicholson in a dog suit. Well, no, that was the Freak Off. That was Beyonce's Freak Off afterwards. So, junk drawer episode, spring has just begun. We're getting into spring, so it's time to clean out the junk drawer and cover a few topics that didn't quite fit into other episodes. Either there wasn't enough time,
they're
or
too small,
or no stories are too small, but they just don't fit into a theme that can be a whole episode. So we have a few of those to get into, and I'm going to go first.
Please.
You're going to love this.
I'm going to take a quick nap. Just let me know when it's my turn.
Let me know when it's my turn to interject.
Yeah.
Let me know when it's my turn to make a reference to The Shining. Greg.
What was the wife's name?
Olive oil.
You remember when Mr. Halloran had that painting of the lady? That was cool, huh?
Greg, I mentioned a snowplow. You got to wake up, okay? Work with me here. Okay, so I'm going to talk about one. So this is something you said you were aware of, but don't know the story.
No.
I had this written down for a while, and like the epitome of like, what do I do with this information? Well, here you go.
Do it.
They say getting pigeonholed is a bad thing, but I say a whole lot of pigeons is a good thing. Along the lines of this will make sense soon.
Yeah.
Along the lines of alligator farms, ostrich farms, and a family living with a bunch of lions, the story of the Los Angeles Pigeon Farm is a weird little footnote in the history of places with too many of one type of animal in Los Angeles.
And you bought a lot of pigeon milk as research?
I'm worried about bird flu, so I get pigeon milk now.
it's a way to build my immune system up.
Yeah. No, bird flu, it's only transmitted through cows, I hear. So I drink raw pigeon milk.
I don't know if I saw this.
I eat cow eggs because it's cheaper.
I don't know if I saw the joke online or not, but bird flu, I hope so. They fly.
And that's if things go well.
That's if their parents teach them.
So this is another story where there isn't a lot of deep dive information on it out there. So I must credit some serious detective work done by Paul Spitzeri on the Homestead Museum website on this story, which the Homestead Museum website, great resource. A lot of really good in-depth.
I've used that website before.
I only get research from that website.
I'm basically copy and pasting the whole thing, which makes us a real podcast now.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to get canceled? So most of the information came from his one article, but unlike how it was when I got most of my information from one article about the dog wound of Watts, I was not told vaccines contained nanobots at the end of it. So I recommend this website. So it all begins with a little boy named Jons Sorensen, born in 1847 in Lyngby, Sweden.
Okay.
Wait, everything's kind of Lingonberry. I guess that's it. And this place.
I had another one. I'm just going to stay away from it.
But Greg, you said we could get canceled. Please.
please say it out loud.
So at the age of 8, his whole family took a step towards being even whiter than being a family in Sweden by converting to becoming a Mormon family.
Oh,
in
no,
Sweden.
don't.
No, don't. Wrong one.
No, don't do it.
Mormonism in the 1800s? Wrong one. So the whole family uprooted and moved to the completely unproblematic Utah of the 1850s.
Man, leaving Sweden for Utah.
I mean, it's kind of the Sweden of America. I guess Minnesota is kind of the Sweden of America because it's colder.
Yeah,
than
that's
Utah
what it is. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it has.
It's not the white people, is it? And all of the Swedish descent?
The pure skin of white snow, right? That's Minnesota?
They must live in the whitest of areas. So the journey by boat and train took them 2 whole years. And when they arrived in 1857, they changed their last name to Jorgensen.
Okay.
You stop with that yawning.
They changed their name to Smorgasburg. Go ahead.
Little Jans grew up to become a private in the Utah militia in 1866 and participated in the Black Hawk War, which wasn't so much of a war as a genocide, and then went on to have 22 children with his 6 wives.
Okay, you're spreading it out. Okay. This is what men do.
Yeah, this is
forever.
This is
micromanaging.
This is why we have to have 6 wives, so that we can have 22 kids. It's too much for one woman. I'm a feminist. That's too much for one woman.
That's talk about making your marriage into a MLM.
Is that Mormon level marketing? Mormon level marriaging? So sadly, though, only 10 of them grew up to be adults. I mean, this was 1860s
right.
Utah.
It's all about numbers.
Back then it was. After his time as a soldier, he became a farmer, a sheep herder, a dairy owner, and then a bishop of the Mormon church, where he was sent back to Sweden to try to convert more people. When he got back to Utah,
Back to Utah? You wanted to go, they sent you away back to Sweden, and you're like, nah, I miss Utah.
Oh.
Stupid. No, I'm tired. I got to get away from these ice beauties, these Icelandic beauties.
Yeah, we're talking about Mormon people. We're talking about Utah Mormon people. That's like a Utah 10.
She has a heartbeat. That's like a Utah 10.
So
I'm very respectful of our Utah listeners.
Of which we have so many.
Yeah, so many.
Because they make their wives listen.
You know why.
So when he got back to Utah, supposedly federal agents were after him to arrest him for polygamy. So he decided to flee for a place where law and order didn't exist and nobody cared who, how many, or what your wives were. Los Angeles. None of his wives wanted to come with him, and only one of his sons wanted to. So now he was living in LA under a new name, James Y. Johnson. The Y stands for Jorgensen.
Wow, you really could just remake yourself.
Yeah, I mean, most of Los Angeles was founded by polygamists fleeing at least 80% of their wives.
Quick, just bring my child brides. There's no time.
But these ones are underage. They have no choice in the matter.
We'll go to a place where law doesn't exist. And it still doesn't. Los Angeles, home of a child bride is the state bird.
He changed his name to Harvey Y. Weinstein. So the Y stands for Jorgensen. So while here, he eventually married yet another woman named Gertrude Wing, who was a Christian scientist.
Whoa.
And also
in lab with beakers and stuff.
She's trying to scientifically prove that science is fake. So this is weird. She had a daughter, this woman, who would go on to marry Cassius Marcellus Coolidge, who is the guy who painted all the pictures of dogs playing poker.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
So many weird things about that. One of them is that I didn't even realize there was a man who painted that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
They
not
just like always were.
I thought it was just like something that they made in like a gift shop in Tijuana in like the 1970s.
And we've all been making fun of it since
but
then.
I think that if I didn't look too much into him, because that's not what this episode, I mean, I wanted that to be what this episode was about, but he was like kind of maybe not a contemporary, but like the same time as like Picasso. Like it was that kind of like, this is postmodern. Like this is a brand new way of looking at art. And guess what? Pretty soon, Marilyn Monroe is going to be playing pool with James Dean. That was postmodern. So
I wonder if Marlon Brando ever saw those paintings of him playing with James Dean and Marilyn Monroe. He's like, dude, we only did it once.
We did it once. It wasn't that big of a deal.
We didn't even know Elvis. I don't know where you're getting this from.
I mean, it wasn't like everyone's making this one night out to be like, we are the world. Like we just went to play pool once. So the job he took on in LA was running the Los Angeles Poultry Yard in Boyle Heights. But in 1898, he got the opportunity to try something brand new. No, not an eighth spouse. Along the east bank of the LA River, where today the 5 and the 110 meet, the Arroyo Seco confluence, as it's known.
Yes.
There had been a very special farm since 1892, and now it was for sale. A pigeon farm. And when you see a pigeon farm for sale, you buy it, Greg.
You put money down.
Yeah.
It's like
you
when
mortgage your mortgage to buy a pigeon farm.
When you're at an antique store and you see something you've been looking for years, you don't say, oh, I'll come back later and get it. You get it.
You're going to regret not buying that really racist plate.
That copy of As Good As It Gets, you're going to want to As Good As It Get it.
Good as get it now. Yeah. So now it was owned by J.Y. Johnson, but why pigeons?
Yeah.
You ever heard of squab, you hillbilly? Squab. Have you heard of squab? You've heard of squab. They talk about it in old shows.
Yeah, that's how they do gunshots in movies.
Squabs, yeah.
No.
The Godfather used more squabs than any movie.
Paul Verhoeven's squabs are so big.
So squab is the meat of a pigeon just under a month old. So it's kind of like the veal of pigeon. Yes?
Why?
Well, while today that's mostly only eaten by coyotes and those blue people in Kentucky, at the turn of the 20th century, for whatever reason, squab was a luxury meat. Like it was like how lobster used to be lowbrow prison food, and now it's luxury. Like this did it got the opposite lobster treatment.
It's like someone sees what Renfield eats in Dracula and is like, ooh, fine dining. Fine dining.
This guy must be an aristocrat. So
they dare arrest a clearly sane man eating rats off the street.
I mean, look, there's a lot of Renfields in our country right now that are not being arrested, so it's not that far off. So the demand for this luxury pigeon meat was very high, so high enough to justify the existence of more than one industrial pigeon meat farm in Los Angeles. So yeah, this was it's kind of horrifying. It was a meat farm for pigeons.
Had they not invented chickens yet?
They were still wiped them out.
Were they still workshopping turkeys?
Turkey was a sacred bird at the time, but we could eat as many pigeons as we want. Turkey was eaten by prisoners only. But this one that we're talking about here was the biggest one, not only in town, but this was the biggest flock of pigeons in the world.
Wow.
At its peak, they had over 125,000 pigeons.
Oh my God.
Across 6 acres in that little area along the LA River. They sold about 4,000 of them a month for 25 cents each. They also sold their feathers and guano as fertilizer to local orange groves. So part of the glory of the heyday of LA oranges is being fueled by wet, hot pigeon diarrhea. So think about that.
It's so creamy and green and white.
Creamy. And as much of a delicacy as their meat was.
That is such an old timey, like, for $2 you can get a ride on the tram, and you can get you could watch a Nickelodeon, you could buy 4 pigeons. Like,
you can eat squab for days. I mean, you say about buying this was a big tourist attraction. Tons of people came to see their 3 p.m. feeding frenzies when they tossed 3 tons of grains to the pigeons and just watch them go wild.
Man, this is why the entertainment industry saved the city, because before that, the draw was pigeon farms.
And alligators. Go watch an alligator open its mouth.
This is the angriest ostrich in town, guys. He's killed 3 kids already.
You can either go see the pigeons eat grain, or you can have your pearls snatched by an ostrich in Pasadena. So there's a lot of postcards online that you can see of this place, and it's kind of like I showed it to Melissa, and she's like, "That's disgusting," because it's like a lot of pigeons, and when there's like a lot of like bugs or like it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
The Shriners even held a convention there in 1907 on the pigeon farm. The pigeons would also eat the grains that fell out of the trains passing by on their way downtown.
That's just good getting.
That's good. I mean, that's just economical. So on March 23rd, 1904, the Los Angeles Express even published a poem making fun of the place, which kind of reads like the I Love LA of its day. It went like this. But what's that over yon? Great flocks of birds do meet my wondering eye, and if I'm not mistaken, greet my nose. Smells like they are not of lilac or of rose. What may it mean? Well, that's a pigeon farm. A little odoriferous indeed, but really, sir, it does us no great harm, and it's a sight to watch the birdies feed. We love it.
Shakespeare's wonderful. He does such good work. That's you could get anything published back.
As long as you're willing to contact one of the 400 newspapers publishing. Yeah.
The day before second drafts.
Oh, this was the Pigeon Express. All news about pigeon all the time.
Oh, the pigeon paper.
The Pigeon Press. the Penny Pigeon Press publishes on Fridays. So the farm made about $7,000 a year, but it was a lot to manage. It had to be constantly protected from the rodents who wanted to eat the pigeons and the humans who wanted to also eat the pigeons. People were like constantly trying to steal squaw.
Man, the days when the rats and humans were fighting for the same food.
Hey, man.
Have we really come that far?
Welcome to capitalism.
Pizza Rat. Is he any different than ever me?
You ever heard of Pigeon Rat? His West Coast cousin?
He has that great appearance in the Simpsons episode.
So Johnson had tried selling it a few times but couldn't. And then, as if a gift from the Mormon angel Moroni, nature came to his aid. The Great Flood of 1914.
Oh, brother, what a good flood that was.
Catastrophic flooding of the LA River. We talked about years and years ago that led to the paving of the LA River. But one of the casualties of this massive flood was the Los Angeles Pigeon Farm.
What got wiped out?
It was right along the river.
Did they swim away?
Well, the farm was right. It was most of the structures and homes for the pigeons were destroyed. Not to mention, sadly, the pigeons themselves.
Bummer.
The newspaper reported 100,000 pigeons dead, dying, or homeless, which is truly a horrifying thought. Homeless pigeons.
Yeah.
Some of the local goblins even hurried over to fish the dead pigeons out of the water to eat them.
Cool.
Hey,
I didn't realize that there's a Friday buffet's open, guys.
Pigeons back on the menu.
We eat like Gollum.
And it was still a tourist attraction, even in its destruction. Like lots of people came just to see it destroyed.
Wow.
With the farm ruined, Johnson sold the land to the city and moved to Lancaster, where he stepped on a rusty nail. And since his wife was a Christian Scientist, he took no medical treatment for it.
God.
He instead went back to Fountain Green, Utah to try to heal it in a hot spring where he died of the infection and his feathers were turned into fertilizer.
How Christ-like to die because of a nail.
Wouldn't be the first time. It was the nail that got him. He was fine, but it got infected. And he was he was a bit of an amateur scientist.
Yeah. Jesus, please, we have the medicine. No. Jesus, please, it's your birthday. No.
It's been 3 days. No.
No.
So yeah, that's the Los Angeles Pigeon Farm.
I wish we could have gone. We're the LA Pigeon Farm of podcast.
We really are. We're just shoveling guano into people's ears. And for some reason, people want to eat it. The lowest class of people want to eat this guano.
LA Meekly, the squab. Eat our squab.
So what do you have to present from the junk drawer? There's a lot of stuff in there. Some rubber bands, a few Band-Aids.
Yeah.
Some minion Band-Aids.
A bunch of cables for devices we've thrown away a long time ago.
And we still have cables that charge our regular, our original Game Boys.
Oh, my.
Those didn't get charged. Those were battery powered. Stupid. I don't know what that cable's from.
I didn't know what to do for this episode for a very long time. And last weekend, I turned to a ham and egger, Rachel, and I said, what do I do?
For those who don't know, that is a card-carrying member of the Los Angeles Breakfast Club.
One of its most devoted members.
Mm-hmm.
Does the city have a center point? According to a man.
It's right here, right
in my heart.
Yeah, wherever we are, wherever our guano is being shoveled, that's the center of the city.
Wherever Andy Dick is right now, that's where the center of the city
spiritual
is.
Heart the spiritual center of the city.
According to a man named Alan Edwards, a worker for the U.S. Geological Survey, there is. But where is the spot and how did Edwards find it? First, let's talk about Alan Edwards a little bit, since there isn't much to go on anyways. He was a Korean War vet who used the GI Bill, thank you for your service, to attend UCLA. I don't know what he studied initially, but eventually he practiced research psychology at UCLA Wadsworth Medical Center. He was also an alley history guy, or it seemed that way. He would often tell friends that the single most important event to ever occur in Los Angeles was the obscure, we talked about in this episode, this podcast early on, the Battle of Cahuenga.
Right.
Which we covered before. Rebel Californios who wanted to join the U.S. against forces representing the authority of Mexico City when we were still Mexico.
And you can go to the Campo de Cahuenga.
You can, and you can be like, I'm here to park for Campo de Cahuenga, but you're really going to Universal.
I'm going straight to Minion Land.
Banana. I'm going to that big banana in the sky.
Why are you draped in bananas to go to the Campo de Cahuenga? Tradition.
Oh, you don't know LA history like I do. He would tell anyone who would listen that this minor kerfuffle determined the fate of California, and it would have been easily leaned in either direction, and we would still be Mexico. And sure, the cartels are scary, but 2025 U.S. is kind of more scary than cartels.
I wish we were under the thumb of the cartels right now.
At least they have some organization.
Yeah, at least the cartels have health insurance.
Do you think the cartels would let Elon Musk tell them what to do? No. Cartels?
Elon Musk. That's his spinoff.
Yeah. So Edwards got in his head that the very, very large city of ours had to have a center point. It had to. But that would be difficult for many reasons. One, the size. Duh, we're really, really large.
And also the shape.
The shape. Also, it's hard to determine what a center of because of the shape. But also, think about this. How do you extract all the sub-cities, all the annex from what is, how do you separate the annexed from the unincorporated parts of Los Angeles?
Well, you can watch our hit viral video about it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's like the shape of the city. It's like when I'm trying to roll out pie dough, like it never comes out as a circle. It's always shaped like Los Angeles. That's how much I love this city. But it seems like an impossible task.
It's impossible. It seems like, I agree. It seems like an impossible task. And mind you, just to say, not talking about LA County.
Okay, just LA
just
City.
The city.
That's even harder.
That's even harder because the shape is even more abstract.
Because it's got that strip going down to San Pedro. What do I do with that? I cut that off and I use it to crimp the edges.
I cut it out. I paste it somewhere else.
Yeah, I make a mini pie just for daddy.
So how did he do it? So he places a large map of the city on a piece of lightweight foam core. It was said to be the size of a double bed, which is like 4.5 feet by 6.25 feet.
Okay.
Then he physically cut out the unincorporated sections of the area out of his map, out of the foam core. Subcities like Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, San Pedro, etc. Once the map was ready, so it's on foam core, pieces of it cut out in the shape of the city, it was time to find the center.
Wait, why did he cut out San Pedro?
San Pedro's not part of the city. It's unincorporated.
No, San Pedro's.
Oh, maybe I was wrong
part
then.
Of the city. This was actually the main comment on that video.
Oh, that's right.
Wait, yeah, because they were saying, you forgot San Pedro, but San Pedro's just part of Los Angeles.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the video.
I didn't watch that crap.
Once the map was ready, it was time to find a center. Now, from what I can gather, because it kept using this phrase, but this is what I think it means. He balanced the large 4x6 foot foam core on a pin until it just centered out and played with it.
Is he a magician?
He played with it until it just rested on a pin.
It's like being weighed at the doctor in 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
I went to the doctor.
1990. The point he found is known to be Edwards Point. The coordinates of the Edwards Point, the coordinates are driving me crazy, but one of them I read, the coordinates of Edwards Point are 34 degrees 7 minutes, 31 seconds north latitude, negative 118 degrees, 23 minutes, 56 seconds west longitude.
These are my dress sizes, you're telling me.
This is a phone number. But maybe don't follow those coordinates just yet. We'll get to that because it might be someone's backyard. At Edwards Point, there's a handmade plaque that reads exactly this. Exact center, parentheses, point of balance of the plane of the city of Los Angeles, LAT 34 degrees, 7 minutes, 31 seconds north, long 118 degrees, 23 minutes, 56 seconds west, altitude 920 feet, December 30th, 1990, Alan E. Edwards.
So he made this sign.
He made this sign. This plaque is not an official city designated marker. It's hand stamped at some points. Other areas it looks like wet, like someone drew it on wet concrete with a stick. He didn't want to ask for permission because he was afraid a city official would say no. So it's all out of Edwards' love, like a love project. The marker is made of scrap metal, and from what I can hear, assembled and made at that same spot. They took took cement and metal there.
Why didn't he just do it beforehand?
Because he didn't get to carry it. And for a bustling city with a wild and decadent history, the center of Los Angeles, the city of Los Angeles, is really quite lovely and quiet. It could have been in the middle of the 405.
So do you know you
I
tried
know-
going here, but you couldn't.
But okay. This place is the center of Los Angeles in the filming location for Glastonbury Grove, the entrance to the Black Lodge in Twin Peaks, and the opening shots of the Andy Griffith Show.
Really?
Franklin Canyon. Franklin Canyon is a 605 woodland area in the city that rests between Beverly Hills, Bel Air, and Studio City. It is up Coldwater Canyon at the top of Mulholland Drive.
Huh.
Do you know how close Franklin Canyon is to you? You know how close you are to the opening of Mayberry, the whistle?
Greg, don't tell everybody that I live at the pinnacle of Franklin Canyon. Don't tell everyone I live at the geographical center of Los Angeles. You've gone there, right?
No, I've never been there before.
Oh, I thought you had gone there.
I actually thought it was much farther, but I think I was thinking of Kenneth Hahn, which we've talked about before.
Because it's not there's the Hollywood Reservoir.
Yeah, it's
that's
not the one,
where
yeah.
they filmed it. It's
No.
on okay.
It's Franklin Canyon is where a lot of filming locations for stuff. The marker rests under an oak tree in Franklin Canyon. The coordinates, according to the Los Angeles Explorers Guild website, are actually 34 degrees, 7 minutes, 28.1 seconds north. I think like negative 118 degrees, 24 minutes, 28 seconds west. It's along the Chaparral Trail. They also listed the address as 2600 Franklin Canyon Drive, but that's just a starting point, and it's a one-way street where there's no parking. So across, if you go to the top of the hill, if you cross the other way going towards the other side of Coldwater Canyon Boulevard or Coldwater Canyon, whatever, there's this thing called Tree People, which I have no idea what
Tree
it is.
People.
What's
I
Tree
vote
People?
there. I voted you haven't seen the two towers? You remember the Tree People?
The Ents.
The Ents live up
Yeah,
there.
the Ents live up there.
They're just like an environmentalist
Okay.
group. It's a cult.
It's a cult, yeah.
They like bring trees around the city, and they have like a whole like nursery where they
should've
grow
went
up.
there.
I vote there. That's where I go to vote because it's so nice to go up there, and there's a big view of the valley.
Oh yeah, there's a beautiful view up there.
Yeah.
So I parked there. I walked the opposite direction that says like, dead end. You walk to the bottom of that.
We will kill you.
Yeah, we will kill you. Trespasser shot on sight.
If you are not a tree person, you will not survive.
You shall not pass. So you go the opposite direction. There's a winding road that leads to just like a brown gate, and then that's the entrance. One of the entrances of Franklin Canyon.
Okay.
I'll just finish it, and then we'll talk about going up there today. Edwards was also a docent for the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. He lived to be 70 years old. He suffered a stroke in February of 1998 and passed away 9 days later. He was a tall, goofy, quiet guy who left a quiet mark on the city he loved. And I'll see you guys at the center of the city.
We'll meet you there at midnight.
At midnight in Glastonbury Grove, the sycamore trees or whatever. Yeah, I went there today because I was following these coordinates. And listen, I don't know how to put coordinates into Google Maps. I don't know how to do that.
I can't even imagine.
So I was walking around and I earlier today was wearing my huaraches, my Mexican sandals, and they're not good for hiking. So I went up like
you're covered in ticks.
I'm literally itchy. My toes are like purple. But I was walking around and when I put the coordinates in, it had me walk to the top of Franklin Canyon, which was very steep, and I got to there was like a firehouse, but I didn't find the marker. And I went back down and was looking around. So it's there somewhere, but it feels like at this point a cool treasure map.
Yeah.
Where I get to walk around because I want to go back, with better shoes on and explore. But I did see from a distance saw the lake.
Oh, the Andy Griffith Lake?
Yeah, the Andy Griffith. It's a lake in Mayberry. It's a reservoir to us, but yeah.
No, that's the fishing hole, Greg. That's the Los Angeles fishing hole. Yeah, I've heard about this, that such a place existed.
Yeah. We should
That's
go.
pretty weird.
Yeah.
That's weird that would be the geographical center of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That feels a little too north.
Yeah, there are
But if
people
you're saying he cut off
online-
San Pedro?
There are people online saying it's actually closer to like Rexford in Beverly Hills, close to like the West Hollywood.
But I
or
thought
the
he
Beverly
wasn't
Hills.
counting Beverly Hills because it's its own city.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I don't know why people are saying that's the center of the city if you don't cut that part out. It seems like he did the work and cut that part out.
We know that people have a very hard time understanding what is Los Angeles City and what is Los Angeles County.
With you.
So yeah, I could buy it either way.
Yeah,
but that still feels a little too north because the northernmost part of Los Angeles City is like Sylmar.
Right. And
the southernmost is San Pedro. So how could it be Franklin Canyon?
Argue with the dead guy.
Trust me, I do.
And I will.
What do you think I was doing at Angeles Rosedale Cemetery? Yeah, okay, we got to find it.
Yeah, let's find it.
We're gonna get some bear spray.
Yeah. It's very lovely over there. I can't believe that you've never been. It's like 10 minutes.
I've been to the tree people. I've walked through. What is that? Is it Franklin Canyon? There's like a hiking trail right there that Melissa goes on. I've gone on.
It might be
she
Franklin
made me
Canyon.
go once.
Yeah, she made you go. Yeah.
I guess that's Franklin.
It might be.
Yeah,
Franklin
I guess
Canyon.
it is Franklin Canyon.
And you know what? I'm going to say right now that it might be.
And in this America, that is Franklin Canyon.
And not even April Fool's stuff. It might be.
It might be. No, I have been there then.
Okay.
If that, I just don't know what it's called.
Shame
Because
on
I
you.
always want to call it Runyon Canyon, but I know it's
That's
not Runyon Canyon. But yeah, no,
I'm running Canyon.
you should have asked a tree person. Like, show me the marker.
Ew. You know how slow they talk?
Well, put a clothespin on your nose
Nah.
first. Yeah, how slow they talk. They're going to have a tree person moot to decide whether or not the council can help you.
We're deciding whether we want to decide to help you. Whatever his line is, I don't remember.
But they will carry you on their shoulders.
And you do look pretty cute.
Yeah, it is pretty cute.
Yeah.
So now we've got one more junk drawer item in here,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something I've been meaning to give you for years. This is a Christmas gift from
Chlamydia.
I've got a vial of chlamydia in our junk drawer with your name on it because it was yours.
It was yours.
So have you heard of, let me just do my intro and then I'll ask you if you've heard of this.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes. Just some silly thing, and they're like, "But have you heard of it?"
But seriously,
But what's your take?
politics.
Do you think Garfield was a good president?
or just a good cat? Was Garfield a good boy or a good president?
Can't be both.
So
Obama showed us that.
the time, high noon. The place, the Bella Union Hotel. The attire, gunfight formal. This is the story of one of the most Wild West things to ever have happened in Los Angeles history. The Bella Union Hotel shootout.
Oh my God, how do you say someone's pretty in Italian?
Bella? Oh, the name,
Bella.
my grandma's name that I...
Bella, bella, bella. Seriously, there's a bunch of dead bodies here.
But seriously, this was not Bella. But seriously, do you think politics are Bella? So you haven't heard of this story?
No.
This is another one I had written down for a long time, and I was kind of thinking like maybe this should be a hotel thing because it took place in a hotel.
Maybe
But
it could be like a shoot episode where we like have a body count.
yeah, we pick stories of who can have the highest body count. So this one, you're gonna like this one because this is Old West. This is Old West. Greg.
Old West.
Fade in on a sleepy Old West town.
The tumbleweed has a gun.
Stick 'em up. I'm a tumbleweed.
Legalize tumbleweed. Go ahead.
A tumbleweed dispensary. That was they were everywhere back then.
Oh my God, you couldn't get rid of them.
So every time you think, oh, we're getting a new restaurant in the neighborhood, no, it's a tumbleweed. Oh, we're getting a new saloon, no, it's a tumbleweed dispensary.
Oh, there's going to be a children's hospital finally. Guess what? A tumbleweed dispensary.
A tumbleweed refinery. So on the spot that would now be labeled as 314 North Main Street downtown in the year of your Lord, 1835, a merchant from New England named Isaac Williams built himself a one-story adobe that would double as his home and a general store where he could sell his imports from New England. Chowders, lobster tails, what have you.
Mm-hmm. Chowder
with lobster
tail. Pigeon, squab.
He was the finest squab dealer in all of Los Angeles. You want some squab chowder?
Yes.
Welcome to the Old West.
You want filet squab?
Filet of squab, a
Filet
squab chowder.
a squab.
You could have the squab chowder or June squib. So in 1846, it was bought by Governor Pio Pico to be used as his headquarters, which made this house the last capital of Alta California, part of the United States of America. The soon-to-be defunct United States of America. In 1847, with the rootin' tootin' USA now in control, this house was used as the headquarters of U.S. Commander Lieutenant Archibald Gillespie, which had the things he did with a saxophone you couldn't believe. Archibald Gillespie and supposedly John C. Fremont for a while used it as his headquarters until the how could they not be happy being a part of the USA local Mexican population laid siege to the building, forcing Gillespie and his troops to flee to the nearby Fort Hill, as we know it, Fort Moore Hill now. In 1849, it was bought back by Isaac Williams, the guy who originally built it, who then sold it to Benjamin Davis Don Benito Wilson.
Wait, which one did he sell it to? One of those five guys that he...
That's what he went by when his tequila company. He was known as Don Benito, but his real name, Benjamin Davis Wilson. So this guy set it on its path to what we know it as for the purpose of this story, a hotel which opened in 1850.
Cool.
But not just any hotel. a hotel with a saloon, and ooh la la, a French restaurant.
Yes.
Squab, le squab.
Le Squab.
Squab souffle, squab à la mousse, squab à l'orange.
We don't have whiskey here. We only have wine.
Shots of wine.
Yeah. There's shots of Pinot Grigio.
And for breakfast, qua squab. And they called this place the Bella Union Hotel, which is an Italian word.
Yes.
So that doesn't, Union's French.
Already
Kind of.
like the mishmash of cultures.
Yeah, it went from New England white to Mexican to like good old middle America white to French.
With an Italian title.
And Don Benito's involved. So it's considered to be LA's first full-blown hotel is this Bella Union Hotel. And behold the luxury, dirt floors, a ceiling about 7 feet tall, rooms about 6 by 9 feet in size, and it was still considered the nicest hotel south of San Francisco.
You're describing modern jails. That's a cell.
It was basically a Japanese pod hotel. And people are like, oh my God, is this where the king stays?
When women came in and say that they felt like a princess, they meant like from a fairy tale that's trapped in a small room.
They did add a second floor, though, in 1851. So,
hey, think about it.
Even more 6 by 9.
Even more
feet
confinement,
rooms. And a third down the line in 1869. But it wasn't just a hotel / saloon / French restaurant. It also served as the city's first courthouse.
What?
From August 1850 to January 1852, in the days when LA was judged by a court of sessions, which was a panel of 3 judges who had both legislative and judicial powers, they would just rent out rooms in the hotel for the judges to deliberate in.
I'll have the tiramisu, but also a justice.
Can we get like 3 orders of squab? We got a big case. But it wasn't.
Keep those coming.
But it wasn't just a hotel / saloon / French restaurant / courthouse. It was also the headquarters of the city's first newspaper, the Los Angeles Star, or La Estrella, which was a bilingual newspaper. But it wasn't just a hotel / saloon / French restaurant / courthouse / bilingual newsroom. It was also the transportation hub of the city. I mean, we have like 4 buildings.
Wow. Okay.
The Overland Mail Company.
It's like a building that puts on different hats and mustaches throughout the day.
Yeah, from 2 to 3, all of the mail comes here.
Yeah.
And from 4 to 6, it's all you can eat squab buffet. So the Overland Mail Company, Wells Fargo and Company, and Phineas Banning, whose grave I saw at the Angeles Rosedale, with his coaches to Wilmington and San Bernardino, they all used it as their hub in Los Angeles.
Wow, okay.
So all of this was just coming through this one building. On October 7th, 1858, the first Butterfield Overland Mail stagecoach from the east arrived there, having left from St. Louis 21 days earlier.
Okay.
In 1860, it was also where they held a champagne celebration to celebrate San Francisco and LA being connected by telegraph.
Oh, it's about time.
Yeah. You up?
Yeah. The first
you up.
Yeah, the first telegram being sent from San Francisco to LA was like, we're just so much smarter than you.
Yeah.
Because like everybody reads books over here.
What does this mean? Dodgers suck? What does that mean?
Careful, they have giants over there. There's giants
there
roaming around.
Yeah, there be Dodgers?
Yeah, they might be giants. Guys.
They might be Giants fans. It was just kind of the center of civic life, not of Los Angeles, but of civic life in LA at the time. Business was done there, and also life happened there. There were weddings being held in their banquet hall all the time, but that saloon was a source of trouble.
Okay.
Stop with this yawning.
No, every time we time travel, I guess it's time exhaustion.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I got time poisoning.
Yeah,
time
travel exhaustion. Yeah.
So remember that this era of LA was rough. Lawlessness and vigilantism was rampant. There were 4 bank robberies a day, and there were like 2 banks. Gangs were everywhere. It was like LA in the 90s. Some were got him. What's this? A new telegram coming in from San Francisco? Good one. Couldn't have said it better ourselves. Have you read Ginsburg?
He's still a big deal?
We invented burritos? What? Because we put French fries in them? What? Take that, San Francisco.
Stupid losers. I hope you get another earthquake.
Not like us.
Yeah.
So some referred to LA at the time as Los Diablos. And the saloon at the Bella Union Hotel was one of the gathering places of the worst offenders in the city at the time. The way they described it sounded like Mos Eisley Cantina.
Yeah.
Like everyone had guns and knives. Everyone was unsavory. Everyone was wanted in 12 systems.
Yeah, no droids allowed.
No. My friend doesn't like you either. It said it in wood when you entered. So Horace Bell wrote that the bartender looked like he hadn't smiled since his father was hung.
Oh my God.
Which is pretty good.
That's
a pretty good line. Wait. Coming in from San Francisco, we could do better? Huh. Weird.
Something about you didn't even go for the double entendre. Well, you're gross.
Why isn't it hornier? San Francisco, stop telegramming. Cut it out, San Francisco. So during the Civil War, it was also a gathering place for Confederate sympathizers, and they hung a huge portrait of some Confederate general in there.
Yikes! What is this, Bakersfield?
And that probably wasn't the only thing they hung. So it was not, let's just say it wasn't infected by the woke mind virus in the saloon. A lot of other viruses, though, like the RFK brainworm.
Yeah,
that's
there. Yeah,
the chlamydia that you kept in the drawer, that was there. Everything but the woke mind virus was there. Not a woke place.
Yeah.
Neither were the characters whose stories collided in this room.
Right. Some rough and tumble guys.
And that is what this story is really about. In this corner, we have the King clan, headed by Sam Frank King, who is a sheriff from Georgia who came out to LA in 1849 with his wife, 2 daughters, and 3 sons, Frank, Sam Houston, and Andrew Jackson.
That can't be their names.
Andrew Jackson King, Sam Houston King, Frank King. These are their names. So, wow. I mean, they're from Georgia and they're alleged Confederates. These ones, I don't know that they're Confederate sympathizers. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're Confederate.
This one's Hitler Monroe. This one's Mussolini Frankenstein.
This one's General Mao Dracula. So in some publications, they're given different names, but the best I can figure, those are their 3 names. I know you wouldn't expect this from a sheriff from Georgia, but Father Sam was a violent man who was always getting in fights with people. Some of them were deadly.
Oh my God.
On the way out to LA, he got into a gun duel with a farmer in Socorro, New Mexico over the price of beans. And the only reason he wasn't...
You should be charging me more.
This isn't America.
No.
Sheep beans. The only reason he wasn't killed in this duel was because the guy he was dueling slipped and fell while he was shooting at him.
The old slip and fall trick.
Can't die in a duel if you kill yourself.
They actually teach us to Navy SEALs.
Osama bin Laden can't kill you if you slip and fall.
If you sleep on a banana peel.
Which he loves. We know he loved.
Yeah.
So in 1853, the family made it intact and settled in El Monte. But when the boys grew into young adults, some neighbor named Micaiah Johnson was verbally abusive to them. So their dad, Sam, went to confront this man who yelled at his kids.
Yeah.
And this man shot and killed him.
Oh my God.
So now their dad's dead. And to a family like this could not go unavenged.
No.
So in response, the brothers confronted Johnson and honor killed him at his house.
Whoa.
And these were like,
guys, don't worry,
18-year-old boys,
yeah.
maybe?
I mean, back then they were like 50. Currency exchange. The price of inflation is what I mean.
It was 18 Confederate years.
Yeah.
We assume.
Don't worry, this killing is honorable. That's what I wanted to get out of my mouth. Yeah.
This is a moral killing.
Yeah, don't worry. When we shoot you in the stomach and watch you bleed out,
it's for daddy.
All due respect.
So that's where, if you believe the son of Sam, Houston, he claims that they ambushed Johnson in the Tehachapi Pass.
Whoa.
But it seems like more likely they just went to this guy's house and shot him.
Okay.
When they got a little older, Sam Houston went on to raise sheep with former Governor John G. Downey. Frank became a deputy sheriff, and Andrew Jackson became the LA undersheriff.
Okay.
And in this corner, we have our other member of the eventual gunfight, Robert S. Carlisle.
Okay.
Born around 1830 in either Kentucky or Missouri. Again, history has chosen to give 10 different versions of these people's stories because it was the Wild West. And before you could even write down the story, someone challenged you to a duel and you died.
Yeah, you're writing with like live pigeons.
Squab?
Yeah, squab. Oh, squab.
So
writing squab by fire?
Squab could be used for anything back then. So for whatever reason, he too decided to move out west. And wouldn't you know it, he too had a bad temper.
Oh my God.
When he got to LA, he was 27 years old and he ended up marrying a woman named Francisca Williams, I say woman, I should say girl.
Oh,
Francisca was 16 years old.
Oh,
and again,
boy.
he was 27 years old. And wouldn't you know it, Francisca's family owned a 46,000 acre ranch called Chino Ranch in San Bernardino and was rich as hell. And now so was Carlisle.
Wow, okay.
How weird.
It's weird how that works.
Yeah. It's so weird that they fell in love. Also living on this ranch were Francisca's sister and her husband, John Rains. And Carlisle and Rains got along great. They both loved money.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, they both loved the Confederacy.
Oh my God, what is this, John Carter?
Both their hero.
Yeah, John Carter.
Both of them were members of the Los Angeles Mounted Rifles, which, if you recall from our Sheriff's Department episode, were a Confederate militia operating as vigilantes here in Los Angeles. Rains was also a card-carrying member of the Knights of the Golden Circle, which was a secret society of Confederate sympathizers in El Monte, which I'm sure are still around.
Didn't they eventually become the KKK?
The Knights of the Golden Circle? I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't think they became. I'm sure the KKK.
There's probably like a Venn diagram area.
Yeah,
where
they were
cross
like
over.
They bought a franchise of the KKK probably. So weirdly, they also sold beef from their ranch to the Union Army when the Civil War actually started. So I guess
okay,
money talks.
Money talks. Beef
and
talks.
Confederate dollars. Beef talks, and it says move. So Carlisle also got involved in the local politics of San Bernardino, and Rains bought most of Rancho Cucamonga and turned it into a winery.
Okay.
So those two guys were having a great time living in the Inland Empire, leeching off their wives' family inheritance.
Mm-hmm.
But then one day that came to an abrupt end. For one of them, at least. On November 17th, 1862, Rains set out towards L.A., 2 days later, his horses returned back to the ranch in San Bernardino with no wagon or person riding on them. Carlisle and the wives thought, that's weird, and then waited a whole other 2 days to call for a search party to look for Rains.
You're looking for the phone.
Where did I leave that thing? Oh, it wasn't invented yet. That's where it was. Send a telegram to San Francisco.
My phone over there.
So did I leave I know I left my heart in San Francisco. Did I leave my phone also? What's a phone? And also, have you read Thoreau? So a week later, on November 28th, Rains's body was found 400 feet off the road among a bunch of cacti and San Dimas.
Wow.
By the looks of the body, Rains had been lassoed off his wagon,
oh my God,
dragged for several feet, and then shot 4 times, twice in the back.
Jeez.
That was what they could tell from what hadn't been eaten already by animals.
Oh, by animals.
So
that's different.
They thought it was squab.
Yeah.
Carlisle called for an investigation, and a few people were arrested who were clearly not involved. Mm-hmm. One of these guys, Manuel Caradel, actually got arrested for trying to kill the person trying to arrest him, even though he shouldn't have been arrested in the first place. He was sentenced for trying to kill the person arresting him to prison in San Quentin.
What?
But when he was on the boat in San Pedro Harbor to go upstate, a lynch mob stormed the boat, hanged him from the mast, and tied rocks to him and drowned him in the harbor. So wild west. So the investigation was a bust and no killer was ever found.
Jeez.
But weird. On the day of Rains's disappearance, Carlisle himself was supposed to be at a San Bernardino committee meeting, but never showed up and was never able to provide a clear explanation of where he had been.
Strange.
It also seemed weird that Carlisle had waited 2 days after seeing that clearly something bad had happened before reporting it, and it seemed even weirder that he started accusing all these men who were clearly innocent.
Strange behavior.
Very weird. And who did he blame most of all for botching the investigation? Our pal, LA Undersheriff Andrew Jackson King.
Wow.
What a tragedy.
Yeah.
Such a tragedy that with Rains out of the way, Carlisle simply had to pressure his widow to sign their share of the family ranch over to him. He's grieving. He doesn't know what he's doing when he's grieving.
Hey, we all grieve different ways.
But for some legal reason I cannot understand, the courts rejected this and took those shares of the ranch away from Carlisle and gave them to none other than our pal, LA Undersheriff Andrew Jackson King. So now we've got the rageful likely murderer upset with the rageful undersheriff who has 2 brothers who will kill to uphold the family's honor. And in a small town like Civil War era LA, it's hard to avoid your enemies.
Yeah.
July 5th, 1865.
Happy New Year. Or not.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, America.
Happy New Year, yeah.
Happy New Year of existing America. Solomon Lazard, the son of a wealthy banking family, was marrying Caroline Newmark, who was the daughter of the rabbi who founded the Los Angeles Hebrew Benevolent Society and the city's first Jewish cemetery, which was in Chavez Ravine. For whatever reason, the two guys who I can't imagine being cool with going to a Jewish wedding were invited. Robert Carlyle and Andrew Jackson King were both at this wedding.
Yeah.
The location, the Bella Union Hotel.
Mazel tov.
All I have to say about that is Shlemiel Shlemazel. It's a shanda, Greg. They played nice for a while, but eventually the alcohol caught up with them, and at around 4 p.m., Carlyle confronted King. He accused him of botching the murder investigation of Raines and covering up evidence, and started shouting obscenities at him to avoid making a scene, as if that wasn't already.
Obscenities! Obscenities!
I do declare obscenities!
Are you shouting obscenities at me?
Yes, quite literally. Please, get a little more squab in him. He's drunk.
It'll soak up the alcohol.
So to avoid a scene, which I guess this is in a Wild West Jewish wedding, that's not a scene. That doesn't qualify. So they were ushered out of the ballroom into that Mos Eisley saloon where the argument continued. And of course, it turned physical. Let's get physical. Old West style. People pulled the two apart, but when they did, King pulled his gun, but missed his shot. And in response, Carlyle pulled out his Bowie wife. What's David Bowie's wife's name?
He pulls him on out.
He pulled him on out. So he pulled out his Bowie knife and slashed King's hand and his stomach.
Whoa.
He then threatened to kill King and any and all of his brothers on site as King was rushed to a doctor. That night, his two brothers, Frank and Sam Houston, went to his side. Andrew Jackson was going to be fine, but the brothers had taken offense at the whole situation and the threats against their lives. So Frank turned to Sam Houston and said, "Let's go see if this bastard's man enough to do what he says."
Wow.
The next day,
man, whose side am I on? A Confederate or another Confederate?
I know, that's this whole time, like when I first started reading about it, I was like, good for the guy on this side. And then as I read more, I'm like, who am I rooting? Like, both these are two bad guys. Like, I'm not rooting for anybody.
Can it be like a Rocky Apollo thing where they kill each other at the same time?
I was thinking, like, who's the Wyatt Earp?
Yeah.
Here? Nobody. They're all Dirty Tom or whoever they were shooting. Wiggle and Billy or whoever they were up against.
The dancer Wiggle and Billy.
So the next day, July 6th, 1865. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, America.
Literally high noon. Andrew Jackson was injured, so he had to sit this out. But Frank and Sam Houston were waiting in the shade under a tree across the street from the Bella Union Hotel. A Banning stagecoach pulled up to the hotel, heading to Wilmington, but in the saloon was Robert Carlyle. Now, remember that this was the Old West, so accounts of what happened next vary wildly depending on what newspaper or book was talking about it.
Yeah.
But I'll try to give the best play-by-play that seemed to make sense that I can.
I shot him, and then Godzilla gave me a thumbs up and was like, way to go.
I mean, that made the most sense to me. The two King brothers started walking across the street towards the hotel. But Carlyle saw them coming in the mirror above the bar, so he walked to the front door to greet them, gun drawn.
Whoa.
Stop yawning.
What are you talking about? The most exciting part of the story, and I'm yawning.
Oh, wow. When Frank saw him, he yelled, "I don't care for your mouth, Carlyle, and I especially don't care for you. Obscenities!" Now, nobody knows for sure who shot first because George Lucas's special edition confused everything, but somebody did, and now bullets were flying.
Yeah.
In front of the in and outside of the Bella Union Hotel. The crowd scattered. Women were screaming. A few bystanders caught stray bullets, but not fatal, including Carlyle's lawyer, James H. Landers, who got shot in the hip, and the saloon bartender who got shot in the wrist.
Oh, my God.
Probably trying to catch the bullet, knowing that guy. But tragedy struck. An innocent horse was shot dead.
I didn't know what was happening.
He didn't know what was happening. He thought, am I supposed to start racing now? Yeah, racing to heaven, old guy. And then human tragedy struck. But honestly, I'm more sad about the horse. The gunfight moved into the saloon, and Carlyle got the best of Sam Houston and shot him through the lungs, collapsing him onto the floor. Outraged, Frank charged Carlyle and shot him 4 times in the stomach, emptying his gun into his belly.
Wow.
But he wasn't ready to stop, so he smashed his gun on Carlyle's head so hard that it either shattered into pieces or just broke the trigger. So either way, Frank's gun was now out of the picture. Now, this is where the story gets 3 very different versions that all end the same way. One version says Sheriff Sanchez burst into the saloon at that moment and pulled Frank off of Carlisle. One version says Frank assumed Carlisle was dead and went to tend to his brother. Another one says a mysterious friend of Carlisle appeared from upstairs with a loaded gun.
Okay.
So what happened next was either Carlisle summoned the strength he had left, or this mysterious stranger fired a bullet straight into Frank's heart, killing him instantly.
Wow.
If there was a mysterious friend, he fled the scene immediately. Carlisle was lifted onto the billiard table as he was bleeding out, where he asked for some whiskey and then asked, "Is he dead?" And when he was told yes, he said, "Then I don't care if I die too."
Wow.
3 hours later, at about 3:20 p.m., he did just that.
Wow.
So now Frank is dead, Carlisle is dead, but Sam Houston miraculously survived after getting shot in the lungs.
Wow.
This predated the gunfight at the OK Corral and was the biggest gunfight in LA history until maybe the North Hollywood shootout.
Jeez.
So over 100 years later, and not the Wild West anymore.
No.
Frank's funeral was held at his home, and Carlisle's was held right there in the Bella Union Hotel. He couldn't get enough of that place. Please bury me with my squab, my favorite cut of squab. Immediately after this incident, the Common Council passed an order that prohibited everyone except officers and travelers from carrying a pistol, dirk, slingshot, or sword.
Oh, my slingshot.
My dirk! How am I going to go after Bart Simpson and Dennis the Menace? Who's the baddest man?
The meanest outlaw who's ever lived.
Bad Bart? Is that who's involved in the OK Corral? Bart?
Yeah, Bad Bart.
Bad Bart.
Bad Bart. Alberto.
Alberto. He was the one.
Yeah.
He's the one that Wyatt Earp shot. Wyatt Earp.
Yeah.
This law, nobody followed this
Okay.
law, of course. Sam Houston was put on trial for murder, being the only survivor of this incident, but he was acquitted in 1866.
What lungs did it?
It wasn't me. It was my finger that shot him. After being acquitted, he said, "It is our family code to repay in kind anyone who harms a member of the King family. I intend to honor that code."
Wow.
Shortly after this, he moved to a place where that kind of thinking fit in better. Texas.
Oh boy.
And if you believe the book that, again, Son of Sam, not that one, Son of Sam Houston wrote in 1935 called Wranglin' the Past, the story didn't end there, because according to his account, there was still the matter of the mysterious stranger who shot his brother. It turns out it wasn't just at random that Sam Houston was moving his family to Texas. He did so because he had heard tell that this mysterious stranger had moved to Texas.
Wow.
So along the way, he stopped in every single town asking if anyone had seen a guy who may have known a guy named Robert Carlisle in California. Eventually, he actually found someone who did. He had headed out on a trail. So Sam Houston told his family he'll be back in a day or so. And he rode alone across the range until he found a guy sitting by a campfire just after sunset. He rode up to him and said, "Good evening, mister. I'm looking for a man, a friend of Bob Carlisle who had the Chino Ranch in California. Could it be you're that man?" The man responded, "Could be. Who are you?" Sam responded, "I'm one of the King family." And he pulled out his gun and shot this guy dead.
Okay. Sure.
Justice was served. Maybe.
Maybe.
And Sam Houston rode back to his family and exited LA history forever.
Wow.
Back in LA, Andrew Jackson King went on to own the Los Angeles News from 1865 to 1870. Again, that's one of the 400 newspapers back then. And he was also city attorney from 1866 to 67. He eventually became a judge and lived to be 90 years old, which is the oldest man since Moses back then. He was the oldest lawyer in Los Angeles when he died in Boyle Heights.
Wow.
As for the Bella Union Hotel, the whole incident wasn't exactly good for business.
No?
It didn't help that no one wants to eat squab here anymore. It didn't help that in 1870, a way nicer hotel opened up just down the street, Pico House.
Ah, yeah.
It blew the Bella Union out of the water with its modern amenities and paved floors. They tried rebranding in 1873 by changing their name to the Clarendon. The two new perks they offered in the Clarendon, horse betting and a French chef who is also a ventriloquist.
Oh, yeah. I know how to cook, but the little guy in my arm.
Yeah, I don't know how to cook at all, but Mortimer does. Did somebody say, well, I got to start a kindling to cook this squab? He was apparently...
I can eat, but I can't drink water. Watch.
Biologically so. He was apparently so good at ventriloquism that the kitchen staff accused him of being related to the devil.
It's great.
The Wild Wild West.
This is caveman days.
They changed their name again in 1875 to the St. Charles Hotel, and by the 1930s was a cheap flop house, and in 1940, almost 100 years later, it was demolished and turned into a parking lot. They paved flop house and put in a parking lot. Today, it's that area where the Triforium is, which, of course, is an abstract memorial for that horse that got shot. And that's the story of the Bella Union Hotel
Look at
shootout.
that. That's great.
I love Wild West stories.
Me
This
too.
is, I think, only the second one. I mean, other than like the scary things that happened in the sheriff's episode of just like storming the jail and lynching people. But like this one and that Roscoe train robbery, like that is... Peak. I love it. That is the Wild West in Los Angeles.
I agree. What's the book I was reading? Oh boy.
A novelization of Back to the Future 3.
Yeah.
They really flesh out the characters that ZZ Top played.
I can't remember. But there's a book about Old West Los Angeles, and it starts with a couple stories where you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was a scary time back then.
Yeah.
Not like now.
Not like now.
But yeah, that's just a few clean out the junk drawer. Now we can fill it back up for next spring.
Look at this bozo.
Yeah, my Phantom is like sleeping as if he's being held up in a gunfight at the Bella Union Hotel.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a few weird, unrelated stories of Los Angeles history.
That's right. And one day maybe you're going to be obscure, weird story of Los Angeles. Keep trying.
Yeah. Hey, if you get into a big enough shootout, and
we'll have to cover you one day.
And guess what? No, we are not encouraging that on this podcast.
No. But we need content.
By spring 2026, you better have topped this. Okay.
This podcast is becoming Nightcrawler. And I don't mean the X-Men cartoons and the characters.
This podcast is becoming Beast. Okay. We're going Beast mode. Subtitle to LA Meekly, La Belle in the Bed. So before we get into our listener question, which I didn't tell you about, because it's an actual history thing.
Is it a doozy?
Is
it a spicy meatball?
It's something in between a doozy and a spicy meatball.
Okay.
It's a Shonda again to use. So we have our pre-listener question plug.
Okay.
Let's just say support our Patreon again, like Ralph Castaneda. Patreon.com/LA Meek. Yeah, Phantom's waking up, so we got to wrap it up because he's about to start punching me in the face.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/LA Meekly for as little as $5 a month. Again, we'll send you a handwritten postcard every month from a different place around LA. And just for joining, you get an official LA Meekly sticker. We could give you a postcard from the Bella Union Hotel.
Yeah.
We could unearth a postcard from the Pigeon Farm and send it to you.
I will send it to you today. But I don't have any stamps.
You need it. You know what would be a fun postcard? Is from the center point of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
That'd be once you find it. Once we find it, we're gonna pose for a picture with it. And it'll be a special Christmas card where there's somehow the fires are still burning behind us 3 months later.
Yeah.
That's gonna be our Christmas card.
And the little captions could be like the center cannot hold or whatever. Slouching towards Bethlehem starts or whatever. The Falcon cannot find the Falcon. No, the Falconer cannot find the Falcon.
I don't know what you're talking about.
John Didion book.
I don't know who that is. So now let's get to our listener question. This one's from our pal, Emilio Rongo III.
Hi, Emilio.
Hey, Emilio.
The Phantom guest.
No, he's
Phantom
here.
host.
Oh, no, he's also right here. He just woke up. I told you.
You got ousted. Sorry for a cat. Sorry.
So, sorry, Emilio, but do better than a cat, maybe. Try it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's a litter box. It's not that hard.
I'm sick of scooping up after you. So his question.
Yes.
Why does the city council only have 15 seats? Any historical basis for the size of the district? So here's, I did research on this because it was kind of related to everything that happened with the Bella Union Hotel.
Yeah.
And there is an answer to that. Not really. There's kind of no historical basis for the size.
Some research you did.
Hey, I was busy. Like I said, in the Bella Union story, way back when the city was run by a common council that had 7 members. Since 1850, they had done that, which in itself was an arbitrary number to govern over the just 1,000 people living in the city. These people weren't elected locally like they are now, but rather in an at-large general election. They would just stop yawning.
No, you're talking. No, it's so exciting. Go ahead.
They would just pick you would just pick 7 random people and
wow.
everyone, it wasn't
That
like,
guy.
I represent this swamp south of downtown.
And I'm going to make sure that this woke mind virus doesn't get to you.
I'm going to literally drain this swamp. It was
I'm going to drink the swamp. What?
It was
You mean drain, right?
No, watch me.
No.
Everyone back then is crazy. I mean, now is crazy. It was just like general at-large vote. But in
Favorite soldier.
But by 1878, the city had grown to 10,000 people. So in those intervening years, they were adding new districts to the city and switched to a district-by-district election for the new council seats being added until they landed on, again, an arbitrary new number that they felt was sufficient, 15 people.
42069.
42,069 people. But that shrunk down in 1889 to 9. And then in 1909, they switched back to the at-large elections until 1929. Voters chose to switch to the 15 council members elected district by district that we still do today.
And then the Great Depression happened. Coincidence?
Yeah.
Black Sunday? The stock market?
Keep voting for democracy.
Yeah.
This is what happens. Yeah.
Now you got to eat your shoe.
And guess what? This one is made of licorice. The idea here being that each member represents a reasonable amount of the population, but many people today feel that 15 people, one council member representing that adds up to almost 300,000 people isn't good enough anymore. And a lot of people feel that it should be expanded, which
I think we should go to 16.
hear me out, 15 and a half. There's an interim member and that should solve everything. It's a baby. We have a baby running the city council. I mean, the idea of expanding it, I think, was like to curb corruption.
Okay.
And look how great that worked out. But so, yeah, that's the argument of people today of expanding it. It's probably a good idea. I don't know. I don't know much about it, but I feel like nowadays we've shown that in a small group of people controlling power, it's too easy for that entire group of people to be bad people.
Yeah.
So it's probably better to have more people in charge.
I agree.
More voices than less.
Or like double the corruption. I forgot about that part.
I forgot. That's the way America works. We don't progress in the positive. We just double the corruption.
We double the corruption according to the year. We just times the year by the level of corruption, and then we get whatever we get.
We don't extinguish the darkness. The darkness just expands.
Yeah,
it gets pushed around like oil and vinegar.
Ooh, that sounds good.
I'll
have some of that.
I'll have some darkness. So that's been our April Fool. Again, this was all lies.
Not a single thing was looked up. There's no city of Los Angeles.
Yeah, there's no center of
no center of
Los Angeles is 3-dimensional. But yeah, that's enjoy the spring. The allergies are coming.
They are.
And so is the heat. That should be fun for nobody.
This was the first winter where I had to deal with snow really consistently.
Yeah.
So these.
No, well, you weren't. I keep thinking. Not to give too much away, but you have a job up north, and I keep thinking it's Los Angeles County.
It's
just outside.
Just outside.
Yeah, you got a real winter. Now
I had a real winter for some days there, and
they're going to be having like a midsummer up.
Yeah. It kind of is giving midsummer. But now, like, I've been so appreciative of the first couple of days of spring, and just like, wow, like the sun is out.
That's why I really wish we had, because like in places where people have extreme winters, it really makes you appreciate like
the first day of spring is like a thing.
Yeah, and I would love to experience that sensation.
Me too.
Instead of just the nothing I feel forever.
It went from 70 to 65.
Oh, God.
Spring, welcome spring.
Oh, God, start the fireplace.
Yeah, start the fire.
Start the fires. So yeah, enjoy spring, and we'll see. We already know what we're doing next month. It's kind of a fun episode, so look forward to that. Might want to put on some headphones for that episode.
April Fool, there's no episode.
April Fools, your ears are cut off. So that's been yet another episode of LA Meekly.
Yawning and squabbing since 2013.
Yawning and squabbing.
If
I haven't cut out you yawning through all the most exciting parts of this story by now.
You're just going to put the noise of squab. You're just going to be like...
the signature noise of
Greg, you're so tired.
That noise of a pigeon we all know and love.
We all know.